Hi, Christine.
Hey, I'm back.
You're back,
We're back.
and
Woo!
Double Defense is celebrating today. We are still
Yes.
recovering from the happiness of watching the Rangers sweep the Capitals. For those of you just joining us for the first time, because maybe you want to celebrate the Rangers with us, I'm Liz. I'm one of your co-hosts of Double Defense. I have with me Christine as well. We are an all-female New York Rangers hockey podcast with two New York Ranger fans who now live in Southern California, but have not lost our love of the New York Rangers. How are you feeling, Christine?
Never, never. I feel fantastic. I think we did pretty well in kind of calling this series, and I think you did a post yesterday where we pretty much take credit for the whole thing.
I
So,
think we
so
fully, at least for round one.
I like it. I think we're ready for next round. Yeah.
There's still quite a road.
I was traveling, so it was fun.
Yeah,
Huh?
and I think there's still quite a road in front of us, in terms of the rest
Oh yeah.
of the rest of the postseason. But if we have 16 games to win the Stanley Cup, 12 of them are done. The Rangers are the first to get to that number. They're the first to advance to round two with their 4-game sweep of the Capitals. And still somehow bovadasportsbook.com does not have them as the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. It's still the Carolina Hurricanes, who will most likely be our opponent in round two, although that is still to be determined.
We still have some time left. I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but I'm waiting because I'm seeing that all over. They're like, bring on the Canes. I'm like, you guys, just wait. Just things. There was a little wave of stuff that happened on Saturday, which was good. Yeah, you're right. With It's an interesting note with Bovada Sports too, because I'm seeing it still. Well, look, a week ago we weren't even in the top three, and I think on TBS I was watching, and I think we're on there now, but Carolina is still favored. Um, who was it? Did they have Vegas in there? I honestly
The Oilers are still favored, and even the Florida Panthers are more favored to win.
it was the Panthers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I can see the Oilers too, but not really. I did watch part of that game last night for the Kings and the Oilers. I'm like, I have to text the child, say what happened, because I just feel that the Kings could be better. I kind of want to see better series. How are
Yeah.
you surprised by any of these games so far?
You know what? I am not super surprised. I think the playoffs are never 100% a reflection of what happens during the regular season, and I think that's what's happening with the odds too. I think the odds are taking into account, especially with Carolina, how many regulation wins they had versus points, because obviously the Rangers took the President's Trophy. They wound up with the highest number of points, but not the highest regulation wins. But that doesn't matter for the trophy. And the Hurricanes, are a good team, but even a good team can be beat, and that's what we're seeing with the Islanders. And I would love to see. I was talking to a friend about this earlier today. I feel like all of New York can unite in wanting to see the Islanders win. This is the first time, and it's great.
I do love these kind of moments where you do have that realization that you're going to root for a team that you would never think of rooting for. And there are teams that play that I can't I wouldn't be able to root for. I just root like if it was Boston and the Caps or the Penguins, and I just can't root for one of them to win. I just want them both to lose and to take each other down along the way. So
well, let's talk more about the Capitals, because it was kind of fun watching them lose. It was especially fun watching them lose in 4. I'm sorry to our friends who are Capital fans. I know that there's a couple of people who are out there who are friends of the podcast who are Caps fans. We're very sorry,
yeah.
but it was really nice to watch. For so many reasons. And, this was an interesting series for a lot of reasons. It got a little bangy and dirty in a couple of moments. I think there were some really crazy moments between, Rempe and Wilson, and even Panarin, getting quite physical.
Goodrow's chirping Wilson yesterday. That was funny. I think we were texting with that. Yeah, it was a really fun series to watch. I was kind of traveling and kind of catching it. I was, through either audio or or watching it. So I did catch most of it, which is super fun. So from a Dirty Panarin hit, which I actually missed live, to Wilson and wasn't Valley like calling him an idiot? Like you can't just do that.
Yes,
So
yes, he was.
I love it. Like, and even those reactions that are coming out are make it kind of even more exciting for stuff. Did you see? Like, I learned today that we are the first team in history to hold Ovechkin to no points.
It makes me. It's a big smile on my face.
Yeah. And just think about where we were last year versus this year, so the consistency was good. They had little slow moments, but they never really let it get too far.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I think, in any playoff series that you're going to have, there's going to be moments where you're not playing your best, but the Rangers still managed to work it out. And man, was Shesterkin great through these 4 games. He was so dialed in. I think Bovada has him listed. I'm sure he does. I'm sure they do, in terms of the Conn Smythe Trophy for who could potentially win it this year. But he was so dialed in. He was so good. And anytime he let a goal in, you could tell he just focused up. Instead of, a couple of times during the regular season, when he would let a goal in, it would get in his head. He would let a few more come in. But Shesterkin was so dialed in this round. I think he was the best player on the ice.
I agree with that. And there were 1 or 2 goals that kind of caught him off guard. Never, like, not a big thing. What I did like hearing were, like, the guys talking, saying, like, look, this is a team that bounces back and comes right back. And we didn't take us long to score again, to even it up. And we've been holding, and now look, it's like finally I'm hearing recognition, from these guys. Like, we have the best power play, and even us, like, scoring shorthanded goals. I mean, it's just
totally
that's what you want to see, and I think that's what's making everybody else nervous now, because you're just kind of hearing it,
And how about this for depth? I think I think the Rangers Ed guys were talking about this, and they had mentioned something that 15 Rangers had points in this series, 15 out of like 18 guys, which is incredible.
Well, look, this is what we've been praising them all along since we started doing this. This is why we love it. And I'm liking watching that play out the way, like, where I'm talking about, and I like seeing it over, a Jack Hughes or a McConnell, David, I can't even talk. I'm a little jet lagged. So it's not the blonde. I'm just really tired. Or Connor McDavid. So, I'm always talking about this. And we won't stop talking about it, because theoretically, are these great players because they're on the ice for, 20 minutes and everyone's giving them the puck and they're getting points? Or, and do you want that, or do you want a well-rounded team where Liz's favorite player actually scores a goal?
I know, especially if we're talking about
Kako just gets one delivered to him, and he's like, "Dink!" So, that's amazing. And how about our cute little giant gangly little cutie boy?
I wonder if Bovada had any stats on how many hits Rempe would deliver and how many minutes he would spend in the penalty box. Someone posted, I think it was Ryan, he said on Twitter, he said something like, Matt Rempe gets a penalty for existing, because as soon as he gets on the ice, he's like,
exactly,
he's done. He's already been taken to the penalty box.
So yesterday, I think I texted you when I was listening. I was in my hotel room listening, and I swear they were talking about New York. And I think the guy did a Freudian slip, and he's like, the Empire State Building. And then he kind of kept going, and he's like, and then he kind of had to say Empire State. And I was like, I know I heard that.
I think I heard it.
Crazy. It was crazy.
I couldn't tell if I just heard him say Empire State Building.
I swear it happened. I kind of went right to Facebook to see if somebody heard it too. It was clear. So So that was pretty funny.
So let's talk about Rempe for a second, because
Yeah.
he obviously had a great, if not confusing, time during this round. He seemed to be having the time of his life. He took a lot of penalty minutes, but he also scored, the very first goal for the team. And I think it was another moment where he was like, "Oh my God, did I touch the puck? Did it go in?" And you can tell he brings such a good energy. If in round 2, so Hedel is sort of back and traveled with the team to
any
DC.
day now.
So but who comes out of the lineup? And a lot of people have been talking if Rempe is the one to come out, but I feel like you can't take him out right now.
It could be other, I don't know. There's mixed emotions I'm seeing with Hedel coming back. So just right, it's a good question right now, because I'm not sure. And as I'm talking about, I'm kind of thinking, what would Laviolette say and do when he's putting him in there? He knows when to kind of get things going. He could pull someone out at any time just to see. Unfortunately, I felt like this was the round to kind of get him out there to see what would go on, and how it would work. If we are going to be playing the Canes, are we going to put him in? Now, here's another thing too. Like, let's bring it over to the West Coast. So, one of the big surprises for me is this Dallas Vegas series, and we kind of touched on it last time a little bit, but Vegas is owning Dallas right now, and Dallas was vying for us for the President's Trophy. And the big talk is, look, they had Stone. Again, we kind of talked about this at the end of our last episode, and they had Stone on injury, and then they brought him back to play, in the playoffs. There's no salary cap in the playoffs, so now they have these extra players, and Mark Stone's back, and guess who's scoring the goals? So it's nothing's against the rules. It's actually quite brilliant with what these guys are doing. But at the same time, even though that people follow the rules, it's kind of jerky move, for stuff. So, I'm actually interested in this series now and kind of keeping an eye on it. I'm glad, that the Stars won, but losing the first 2 at home and they're the top team like this, was something that I wasn't expecting to see. So with that and how they're succeeding, kind of just, bringing this guy back, that could work well for us too. So, I don't want to say, but maybe we have to lose a game to have Hedel in, and I don't even want to think that way.
I've been wondering that too. I mean, I think it's good that the team's going to have a rest. I think they're going to have a little bit longer of a rest than clearly anyone else. So the Islanders and Carolina play. We're recording this on Monday the 29th. The Islanders and Carolina will play tomorrow. Yeah. Hopefully the Islanders can at the very least, all we want is a tired, beat up Carolina, or by some miracle, if the Islanders can pull it out. And the Islanders right now are at plus 30,000 on Bovada. They are the least favorite to win the Stanley Cup right now. But, hey, if they can pull it out, and anything can happen. Weird things have happened in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
We've had our first, I think their last game went into double overtime. So we saw a couple of those. The Canucks game yesterday is so exciting. I know I caught you off guard with a minute delay, which was really weird, because that was on the same channel, and I'm on like this fuzzy hotel channel.
I wound up taking my phone, I threw it across the room because I knew you and another friend were a minute in front of me, and I'm like, I can't even hear the phone buzz, because if I hear it buzz, I know something's happened.
So for everyone listening, literally, I was actually on the phone talking with her. Then we realized, because I think they had scored, and then that's when we were establishing that it was off. And then just as we were getting ready to hang up, they scored with 6 seconds to go to tie the game up. So 2 goals in like 2 minutes, which was crazy. And as you guys all know, they went on to win in overtime. But I was like, she's like, okay, I'm going to go. I'm like, hold on, 10, whatever it was. And then you're like, oh my God. So That I think probably is the most exciting kind of moment, and unfortunate for the fans because it was uh, at home for Nashville and they were getting excited and their hopes were dashed.
It's not really
And
Nashville's not really a hockey city anyway. So I feel like
look,
go concentrate on your music and leave the hockey to the Northeasters.
so I like watching the next games after they come back, like after they kind of come back from a loss like that, like a crazy loss, see kind of how they play. Are they going to get, like, we watched the Caps get a little dirty, a little nutty, a little moment, a scary moment with Adam Fox yesterday. Although I think he had a better take on it because he looked injured and he was right back. So
I think I give him credit. Obviously he was tripped and it was like knee on knee, but he did sell it well. He did sell it well, and I'm not going to complain about that.
We'll never admit it in court.
Nope. Whatever. It's on our side. Was there anything about the this round that surprised you? Any Rangers that anything unusual?
Well, one thing I will say is, again, on our last, our last podcast, I definitely had a distinct feeling that somewhere in the middle of game 3 and 4, that there was going to be, and this is the way, like, I get these feelings and they're vague, like, but it was interesting because I kind of had a feeling something's going to happen in the middle of anywhere between the middle of the third game and the beginning of the fourth game. And I think it was in the beginning or, of the second period or so when Wilson was coming after Rempe and Rempe held it down and didn't do it. Cause my entire thought was there's going to be something that's going to, like a hiccup or something, but we're going to get control of it again. So I almost feel like that's what it was. Because I think you could even ask, like, would it be a fight? I'm like, it could be. I just knew something's going to happen around that time. And it kind of did. So I feel good about that. That means like my gut reaction's been good so far. So I'm going to, when I get that moment, I'm going to share with everybody.
Hopefully it's all good. It's all
good.
It
goes to fruition. It's going to be good. So right now, look, I'm feeling good. I saw a lot of people were, I mean, they're trolls. Like, people were expecting us to lose yesterday. And I never, even when they, scored first, I wasn't, I think it was fine.
I thought the Rangers outplayed the Capitals the entire in every way, shape, and form. I think they were simply a better team.
The big thing was holding Ovechkin down, and they weren't allowing a lot of shots on penalty kills, which is nice to see, and that was all really impressive. I think watching this round, I think on a more general note, I think our defense, which we all complained about in the first half of the season, just is and has been outstanding.
Yeah. I think Trouba was playing well. I think Miller was playing well. I mean, there were a couple of exceptions here and there, but the Rangers managed to hold him to a minimum. And when the defense failed, Shesterkin was there. He had some unbelievably amazing saves in this last game too.
And also, again, people who listen, who cried about this with Shesterkin just a couple months ago, again, he's on his game. He's kind of breaking his own records again. And what I liked seeing is that he broke a franchise record too, of like a better, percentage record than Henrik in the playoffs. So he broke a franchise record. Hey, we've been seeing this all season, or especially toward the end, hitting these, and they kind of did the same thing last year. This one has been a lot more monumental for things, and it's definitely a good vibe for stuff. I think everybody. I kind of touched on it before we kind of went live. MSG, if you guys haven't seen, kind of put out a thing like who's impressed you the most in the first round, and looking at the responses, there's a lot of good different answers, which is great. That's kind of what I like seeing, Rempe for whatever reason. Not like Rempe's looking to hold himself back too and not be challenged as much. All the talk about him like fighting, I think was going to go out the window. It's playoffs. You're not going to do that. And if he wouldn't have been pulled. I think I'm loving Roslovic going out and scoring.
I think Roslovic is my answer to that question. Yeah, he was so quiet until like the very last game of the season, and then all of a sudden he's woken up. Wenberg's been playing really good, and then Mika, who didn't really show up for a good portion of the spring. We are now entering Mika May. Who needs Mika March? Like this,
extending it.
Yeah, him and Kreider are looking good. Panarin has been delivering, although I did feel like in this last game, Panarin was a little bit not like slow, but not on his usual like speedy A game. So I don't know if they're just they're tired. It's been a little bit of a slog, but he's been scoring and looking good.
Yeah, but I think he's kind of what I honestly perspective of stuff. I'm not really watching how. Like if we're getting marked, as we're kind of like, look, we held Ovechkin to no point, so they're on us, and with Panarin trying to break that record of his, that they got to keep on him. So what I did like, how like that they had the breakaway, and then he kind of stopped it, and the last 2 times he caused us penalty shots, and I'm like, I got nervous, and then it didn't happen. So there was a big sigh of relief for that. So he's learned something. But when he started going after, and he was the one stopping the shot, which did not go in. Of course, I was relieved it wasn't a penalty. I think I had an out loud sigh, like, oh yeah. So that was good. So and I don't think. Look, everybody else is scoring. I love seeing that goal with Cackle yesterday. Loved it. Loved every second of it. That was a giveaway. I said, here you go. Let's score. I'll let you score right now. So,
yep.
Yeah. So the next step up with the anticipation of playing North Carolina, which is where we really wanted this so bad last year. We didn't get to it because it would have been the same matchup. So that's where, hopefully they're able to watch the next game or so with against Islanders and with the team, so they can kind of size them up. It wasn't really sad. I think the Canes lost a player. I think I texted Liz saying that's one down. It's cutthroat times now, and I'm all for it. We didn't do it, so but if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really interesting matchup. We'll have to see how the odds start changing on Bovada as we get a little bit closer to round 2 starting.
I know. I'm like, I can't wait. Bovada, I'm going to be watching you. When we take the Canes down in 4, maybe 5.
I'm trying to find my bracket because we have like the bracket choices. I'm trying to remember how many games.
Wait, we should.
I picked.
Why are we not getting in on this right now? If we're so like, I think I'm blowing an opportunity, to kind of take a chance and bet, because those odds are going to change.
They're literally changing on the screen as I'm watching this. I'm seeing stuff going up and down. And I don't know why. Tampa Bay just went down. But the game hasn't even started yet. So I don't know why that was just refreshed. But so interesting. Let's chat about predictions. What do you think? If it is the Rangers versus Carolina, what do you think is going to happen in the next round?
I think they just got to do what they're doing. They know how to. I think they know how to match up play. I think that's what I've seen them do. I mean, if they can stop Ovi, they can stop Aho. They can they can take on these guys. They just have to keep doing what they're doing. What we saw last year, which killed them against the Devils, was this inconsistency, right? Like they come out and they play this amazing game, and then you're like, what happened? If you're going to lose a game, even if you're a good team, if you're going to lose a game, it's going to be close. There's going to be that effort in there, and it's just going to be like, that's just what happens. But when you're seeing these blowout games at this level, or the crazy game last week, that's what you want. I want to see a lot of shots. Their game, the Oilers, did you see last night? The Oilers only had 13 shots on goal. And they blanked out the Kings 1-0.
Yeah.
14 shots in the whole game. That was a discussion topic with them, because that's not the only team that's had these low shot levels for the whole game. So I definitely want to see a lot more, like just a lot more shot attempts. And then I think they just can, I think, look, Shosturkin's doing what he's doing. He's amazing. And defense is doing well too. So
I wouldn't change anything, and I'm gonna say I think it's gonna be Rangers in 6. That is my prediction for next round against Carolina. If by some reason the Islanders do make it through, which I really hope that they do, I'm gonna say it's gonna be Rangers in 4 again. Sorry, Islander fans, but I feel like if the Islanders make it through, they are going to be just so emotionally and physically exhausted and they're almost not even going to care. Like they've made a point, they've proven something, and I think either way, the Rangers are going through to round 3.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. I think one of the things that I was predicting was some of these big trade teams were going to go down. It's not over. Like to everybody won on Saturday. We wanted to win because it could have been 3-0 with the Panthers, with Boston, and Toronto managed to grab a game, and that was interesting too because they were talking and they're like basically Boston had won the last 10 games they played against Toronto, which goes over 2 seasons, and the fact that that Toronto kind of took them on, and the other fact I thought about was, with those kind of stats, how do fans think that Toronto's actually going to make it?
I don't know. Talking to some Toronto fans, I don't think that they feel that way.
But keep going. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. And again, I have my girlfriend in Canada talking to me about hockey now, so that's cute. And she's getting into it. Mostly complaining about the refs. And in the beginning too of the season, I also want to see more consistency with the refs. I think in the beginning, and we might have been talking about this last time, where some of the games the refs were doing one thing, but then up north the refs were doing different things. They were letting things go, or they were calling every little thing. I was getting the sense of frustration when listening. I think I was listening to the game, like games 1 and 2, on the announcers. Actually, listening to them is fun. With Dave Maloney when he's on there, because I don't know, I think he drinks sometimes. I don't know. But he's just fun in that way. But he's very emotional and he says what he thinks. So when I think in one game he was like, okay, I'm not going to worry about the refs, but refs, you got to help me, because they weren't really doing like calling things and like
the officiating in this round was absolutely bizarre. It went, I think, swung from one extreme to the other. I will say, I think it was evenly called, but it still made absolutely no sense. What was being called and what wasn't. Yeah. So that's a bigger Bettman conversation that I think needs to happen at some point. And I guess we can just hope that it at the very least it remains even and fair as we go on.
Yeah. So kind of going back to like Rempe and like the next round and stuff. That it'll be a curious thing because these guys are tougher. Carolina's very, very physical, and I'm all for that. I'm all for that because getting up into that last round, you gotta give it your all. It's gonna be brutal. And I'm just wondering. I'm kind of curious if he'd be challenged a little too much. It will be a curious start to see. If we don't see Rempe, I think in the first game, then we're not going to probably see them, as much. But we'll see. And we have Hedl. I don't know. It's a curious thing to kind of watch. I don't think I can predict that part. I
just think of it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And whatever they're doing right now is working great.
And put him out there. They everybody loves it. Hey, the other thing I loved hearing was again. Props to the Jets who had a whiteout game like in their hometown. Mm-hmm. They win. You win on fan level 100 by participation. Yeah.
But you can start winning on points.
Rangers fans, look, I saw a lot of my friends taking a bus down to down to DC and watching that game, and the presence was there. It was
there were Igor chants in the stands in DC.
We're the only team doing that, and I loved hearing that from someone who said they had gone to Ranger games somewhere else, and they're like, there were a lot of Ranger fans, and we're talking other arenas. So again, this is playoffs, and local fans, you got to represent. If you're not, we're going to take over.
Yeah.
So just remember, next round they have a horn.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
On that note, everybody, thank you for joining Double Defense today as we celebrate the New York Rangers streak.
And Bovada, come on, let's get those odds up.
Yeah, let's see.
We're going to make it happen.
We absolutely will. Watch the space, guys. We'll be with you for the rest of the playoffs, hopefully all the way to the finals.
Yay! Let's go, Rangers. Congratulations on round 1 to everybody. Take a breath, relax. The next game will be on before you know it. Don't rush anything. We're good.
Don't know washing. Bye.
Bye.